Three hunters are in the woods when one, Dale, spots a rabbit and goes full auto, but the bunny doesn't even get a scratch. His friends laugh at him, and this pisses him off, so he chases after the rabbit, determined to kill something. He gets to the edge of a cliff and takes aim but is ambushed by Ryan Garrett, a rogue cop seeking revenge. Ryan asks him if he remembers his wife, Mary Ann, and when the man finally does, Ryan pushes him over the cliff to his death. Ryan is plagued by nightmares of his family's brutal killing and has set out on a path of vengeance. He has tracked the members of the motorcycle gang called the Circle to a small infamous town named Hope and heads into a shop to get directions to the nearest motel and is told to ask for Darcy. We then see FBI Special Agent Frank briefing his team on the slaying of Ryan's wife and 9-year-old son, Matt, with their primary suspect being Dale. Just then, he is alerted that Dale's body has been found, and they suspect that it must be their vigilante who has already killed 2 men. Frank heads down to the coroner's office where the coroner explains that Dale's throat was crushed and their vigilante is an extremely strong man. Ryan drives through town, slowing down by a bar that the gang usually hangs out at. He gets to the motel where he meets Darcy, pays for a 2-night stay, and heads to his room. At the gang's bar, we see a gangster who is about to shoot a stray dog when Ryan easily disarms him, beats him down, and puts his own gun to his head, but decides against killing the man. Just then, the other gang members step out of the club led by Drayke, and he wonders what kind of man would attack one of his own. He is in a hurry and plans to deal with Ryan later, but Ryan reveals that he knows his name and wonders how long he should wait on him, but Drayke and his men laugh and walk away, not aware of the danger they're in. The next day, Ryan joins Darcy on the porch where she shows interest and knowledge about his '68 GTX, explaining that her late husband was a gearhead. She offers him a drink and a smoke, but he reveals that he does neither. She shows interest in his line of work, but Ryan diverts, joking that he is a jockey. Later we see Drayke at his gang's base working out when a member, Rex, tells him that a man who owes him money is ready for him. Drayke decides to face the man in a caged match with an electrified fence. The man pleads for a little more time to pay, but Drayke ignores him, offering to squash the debt between them if the man can last 1 round. The man is huge and sees a way out, so he accepts. He attacks, but Drayke tanks his blows before crushing his nuts. Drayke then begins to beat the man down, knocking his head against the fence before dropping him. Drayke decides that the man has paid his debt, then orders Rex to check on their drug lab as he suspects that their dealer is going into their stash. Rex gets to the drug house, unaware that Ryan is already there waiting. He heads inside to meet with the dealer, who has been clearly taking some nose candy. He reveals to Rex that Ryan is staying at Darcy's motel, and Rex begins to plot. That night, Darcy is about to close up when Rex comes barging in. He demands to know the new guest's name, but Darcy refuses. He tries to check the guest book, and when Darcy tries to stop him, he slaps her. He finds Darcy's gun and holds it to her head, demanding that she show him respect. He finds out Ryan's name, but suddenly Ryan ambushes and knocks him out. Darcy is thankful but reveals that Rex is actually Drayke's brother, but Ryan already knows this and does not care. Rex wakes up tied to the bonnet of Ryan's car, scared and thinking that Ryan is here for Darcy. Rex's memory suddenly becomes better, and he screams that he was acquitted of the murders, but not by Ryan. Out of options, Rex threatens that Drayke will find him and kill him, but Ryan stuffs his mouth shut. Ryan knows of Rex's diabolical ways and him taking advantage of young girls. Ryan then turns the car on and sends it crashing into a building, causing a massive explosion. What was in that car? Rocket fuel? Drayke awakens with a bad feeling, and even the cheeks within can feel it too. He gets to his gang's base where his gang breaks the news to him about his brother. The motorcycle gang then moves out. We then see Ryan inside a church's confession. He recalls his wife and then the masked men recurring from his dreams. Drayke arrives at the crash scene and is angry. Just then the cops turn up, and Drayke confronts the sheriff, who begs him not to tear the town to pieces. Drayke threatens to do just that before returning to his men and giving gun salutes to his brother. Darcy hears someone at her door, and this time has her gun ready, but it is Ryan. Darcy somehow knows that Ryan killed Rex and warns him to leave before things get heated. She explains to him the control Drayke has over the town and its residents, with even the police in his pockets. She adds that her late husband tried to get both of them home, but he was killed by the motorcycle gang. She thinks he should just leave it alone and get out of town to not cause her trouble, but realizing that she's all alone, she changes her mind, telling him to stay. The next day, Darcy is shopping when she is approached by a deputy asking about Ryan. She tells him he doesn't talk much, so she doesn't know much about him. Agent Frank is alerted to Rex's death, noting that he is an abuser, fitting the same MO as Dale. They find out that Rex is Drayke's brother, who himself is ATF's most wanted. Frank doubts that their vigilante has left the town, as the bikers will not allow him to leave. Ryan is held up in his room when Darcy comes by bringing him coffee. He learns that there can be as many as 30 bikers in town at any time, but this does not faze him. She sees his packed bag, and he explains that he will be leaving soon. She hopes he stays one more night as she wants to make him dinner, and he accepts. The shop attendant Kirby is working on his car when Drake's men ambush him, demanding that he come talk to Drayke. He is brought before the boss, who demands to know what he knows about Rex's murder, thinking that Kirby knows everything that goes on in the town. Drayke wants Ryan's every single move reported back to him, just in case he is an undercover fed. Back at the station, the cops find out that Ryan is a former well-decorated cop from Dallas, and they wonder why he is in Hope. The next day Drake's men are moving a shipment of nose candy, and Ryan secretly observes them. The motorcade of trucks moves out, when the last truck blows a tire and is forced to stop. The driver steps out to change the tire, but Ryan ambushes him and tells him to walk. He checks the contents of the truck and finds it filled with nose candy. He then pours a gasoline trail to the truck and walks away as it explodes, prepared for what is to come. Drayke gets the news about his hijacked truck, but they have no clue who the attacker is. Kirby is working on Ryan's car where news clippings about a slain family. Ryan comes by, and Kirby covers up his activity, and the two head inside. Ryan asks him about the Circle Club, and Kirby reveals that it's his headquarters for running drugs and guns. Drayke also uses an old abandoned ship as a second office for his activities. Ryan then confronts Kirby for looking through his car, and realizing that he's been caught, confesses that Drayke forced him to report on Ryan. Ryan then surprisingly tells him to give Drayke all the information he needs. One of the bikers named Crab then turns up outside, and Ryan steps out to confront him. The two men face off, and Crab thinks he has a chance, but when the fight begins, Ryan is wiping the floor with him. Crab picks up a wrench and begins to swing wildly, but Ryan disarms him and beats him back. Ryan then allows Crab to leave, knowing that he will alert Drayke. Drayke then meets with the sheriff, wanting to know what happened with his shipment. The sheriff denies any involvement, then starts giving up information on Ryan. Drayke tells him to do nothing, pays him, then orders the sheriff to keep the town clear of all cops and agencies. Ryan drives by the boatyard where he sees the gang moving product. In his trunk is an arsenal of weapons, and Ryan has another flashback of his slain family. Just then the deputy sheriff arrives and sees his guns. Ryan blatantly asks if he will be arrested, but the deputy, knowing what his mission is, advises him not to move on Drayke as he is expecting an attack. The deputy wants to join in taking out Drayke and his men but wants some time to gather other deputies who are not on Drake's payroll. Ryan asks him if he is a good man, and the deputy says he is trying to be. Ryan arrives at Darcy's where he is late for dinner. She asks him about his family, but Ryan initially refuses to talk. He then pours himself a drink after many years, then tells her his family was executed. There was a biker turf war, and his department was key in taking it down. Meanwhile, Kirby is at his garage but has a bad feeling and goes to get his gun. He makes the mistake of falling asleep again when some bikers ambush him. Leading them is Drayke, who has found out that he helped Ryan. Kirby begs for his life, but Drayke begins to tell him about his time in prison. His first time in as a young man, he was brutally tortured by inmates. He eventually got his revenge on the prisoners, then once released, he got the names of all the cops who put him away and made them and their families pay. Later, the deputy is driving when he comes upon the shocking sight of Kirby dead on a tow truck. Ryan and Darcy get to the scene, and the deputy blocks Darcy from seeing her friend. She pulls his gun, which should get her shot, but he calms her down. Ryan, on the other hand, speeds off to take care of business. Agent Frank arrives in Hope and meets with the sheriff to investigate the murders in town, but the sheriff refuses to comply, saying everything that happened were all accidents. The bikers are all gathered in a pub playing pool when Ryan interrupts their game. Rex is taking no chances, having his men all jump Ryan, even this chick who got lost on her way to the kitchen. Ryan tanks all their hits and begins to dispose of the men brutally. He grabs a pool stick and begins to work his way through the men, dropping them. Rex pulls a gun, but ends up shooting his own man before Ryan disarms him. The two face each other, but in the next scene, Ryan is stuffing his body inside his trunk. Drayke is at the bar when he hears a noise. When they come to check, Ryan speeds off, leaving Rex on fire. Drayke then angrily orders his men to kill everyone. Ryan then remembers the day he held a birthday party for his son, where everything went to hell. His wife was upset that he was carrying a gun, but at that moment, 3 masked men enter the yard and open fire on everyone. In the aftermath, Ryan's family including his wife and son were all slaughtered, and he was left for dead. His chief had refused to give him any information regarding the men. The 3 were just shooters with someone else pulling the strings. He had gotten the location of the 3 shooters and barges into the hideout, cutting them down in a hail of bullets. The deputy sheriff is alone when Agent Frank comes by to talk. The deputy reveals himself to be the sheriff's son. He adds that at one point the circle protected Hope until Drayke took over and started running drugs and guns. Drayke has his men gather all their weapons as they prepare to go to war. Darcy is alone at home once more when she is alerted by a sound and grabs her gun. Outside, some gang members surround the motel. Ryan comes to her, and they take cover. He watches the men enter the room, then he switches the lights and quickly takes out the men. One man comes in with an assault rifle, but 2 well-placed shots drop him. As they try to escape, they are suddenly ambushed by gangsters who beat Ryan down and kidnap Darcy. Frank and the deputy arrive at the motel and see the mess, and Frank calls in backup. Ryan comes to inside the gang's hideout with Drayke sitting in front of him. They drag a bound Darcy into the room, and Ryan promises to enjoy killing him. Drayke tells them they have a score to settle before leaving one man with Ryan, who hurts his hand punching Ryan once. The gangster is the same man who got his ass kicked first by Ryan, and he mocks the position that Ryan is now in. He pulls a knife and takes a seat, itching to start cutting into Ryan. First, he plans to take his little time with Darcy, but when he decides to slash Ryan, Ryan bursts free and knocks him out. Ryan goes looking for Darcy and runs into some men. He throws one through the window before taking on the others. They try to jump him, but Ryan pushes them off like a wrestling match. He pulls a knife and begins to slice down anyone brave enough to step forward, and before long, the men all lay at his feet. He goes searching and eventually finds Darcy in some random corner with no one watching her, and the 2 escape. The deputy returns home calling for his father when he stumbles upon his father, who ended his own life out of shame. The deputy wastes no time and teams up with Frank, deciding that he is now the sheriff and Drayke is the cause of his father's death. The 2 men load up their weapons, and their backup arrives. Ryan and Darcy are making their way out when they stumble upon the gang's massive stash of nose candy. Drayke confronts them, and Ryan instantly sends her to hide. It turns out that there was a 4th shooter that day, who turned out to be Drayke himself. Drayke claims he did not recognize Ryan, which we all know is a lie. He begins to mock Ryan's family, asking if he heard them scream, but Ryan moves a table from between them, and they face off. The 2 men throw some heavy punches, and Ryan takes some good hits. The 2 men are also evenly matched, and Drayke grabs him in a headlock, but Ryan manages to break free. He knocks Drayke down, who pulls a blade and manages to catch Ryan with a few strikes, but Ryan grabs his arm and tapes their hands together in some weird mating dance. The 2 begin to trade heavy punches, but Ryan's punches are like sledgehammers, and soon Drayke slumps to the ground. Drayke tries one last strike but is shot dead by Frank. Outside, the only black man in the film shows up, and the deputy thanks him for his good job after he did nothing at all. He speaks with Darcy, telling her that he plans to be the new sheriff, showing no sign of grief for his father's death. Ryan is leaving when he is approached by Frank. Frank refuses to arrest him, claiming that they have no evidence, and sends him off. He says his goodbyes to Darcy before driving out of town, having avenged his family.
Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more movies like this. Thanks for watching.